Hello everyone, welcome to a tutorial brought to you by CKP, and today what we are going to learn is how to apply the shake effect to a video or images within Premiere Pro. Three things you're going to need for this tutorial. One is Premiere Pro, obviously. Two is a photo editing software, and three is an image that you would like to apply the shake effect to. Another thing you're going to need is music, but you could choose any song you want. I use Lightroom for when I edit my photos. You could use any photo editing software, whether it's Instagram, Visco. I know there's plenty out there nowadays, but I prefer Lightroom. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys today. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a prime example of the shake effect. You guys get the gist of it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So first things first, what you're going to want to do is, if you are using Lightroom, you're going to want to open Lightroom or whatever photo editing software you're going to be using and import your picture. So this is the picture I'm going to be using today. So my preference for editing these images are using presets, and you can see all my presets here on the side. And basically what a preset is it's basically like a filter. If you go to Instagram, it's essentially a filter. And what I suggest doing is slapping on a couple different presets. You're gonna want about 8 to a dozen variations of the image. That's the first thing. And the second thing is those variations need to have a lot of contrast from each other. So for example, this is the plain image right here. I'm gonna save this image alone, and then I'm going to apply a preset to it that significantly changes the background color. All right, file, export. I already went ahead and did some editing. As you can see, I've got 9 copies right here, and this is what I will be using in today's example. Like I said earlier, make sure you have 8 to 10 variations of the image, which I do, and make sure that they have enough contrast from each other. And as you can see, most of my images have a lot of contrast or differ greatly from the next image. So next, what you're going to want to do is open Premiere Pro. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install all of my images first by just dragging them into my bin over here. So I now have my images imported. Next, I am going to find the song I want to use. So now I'm just dragging my song into my bin. And the first thing you're going to want to do is drag your song into the timeline. So there you go. I'm using a song by Avicii. Shout out Avicii. I think this song will work perfectly for this example. Yeah, that's gonna work perfectly. So what you're gonna wanna do before you start importing images is you're gonna want to add markers right here to every location where there's a significant change in beat or pitch, whatever you wanna call it, within the music. So I'm gonna have one for when it first starts. Next one occurs right here. Next one occurs right here. Then we got one right here. So what I've learned, when you're in a situation like this where the beat changes right in the middle of 2 frames, is go with the earlier one. I think that turns out better. And what I've noticed is sometimes when I export, there's a latency in the music compared to the video, which sometimes happens. So I'm going before rather than after. Then we got the next one right here. So I got enough of this marked for the example. So once you have them all marked, next thing you're going to want to do is start dragging in images. So all of my images I have are right here on the side. So one thing to keep in mind when you start dragging your images in is you want the images that are next to each other to have high contrast. So I'm going with that one, and then I'm going to go with this lighter yellow one here. And then I will go with this one. So once you have all of your images loaded in, like so, and the sequence changes good on the beat. Yep, that's good with me. So what you're gonna do next, after the sequence is suitable, is you're gonna select all of your images, you're gonna hold Alt and drag up and drop, and then release Alt. And then all of your images, there's now 2 copies, one on video 1 and one on video 2. So next thing you're gonna do is to each copy on video 2, not video 1, video 2, you're going to go into the effects of the video 2, and for all of the video 2 copies, you're going to change the opacity from 100 to 50. 1, 2. So once that's done, you now have 2 layers of the same image, one with half the capacity as the other. So once that is done, you're going to go over here, you're going to go over to position under the effects control panel for the first image. And what you're going to do is you're going to click the stopwatch or toggle animation button right next to position. What that does is that allows you to change the position of the image at every different keyframe, or whatever keyframe you want. So you could change it at this keyframe, this keyframe, this keyframe, this keyframe, or you could change it at this keyframe, then this keyframe, then this keyframe. So it's entirely up to you. So I'm gonna start here, and typically when I do the shake effect, I only have it shaking horizontally, not vertically. I think horizontally results in the best video in the end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly just move this to a side. All right, and then once that's moved over, I'm going to go to the next side, or to the next frame, click there. This keyframe is saved now, the position is saved, and then I'm gonna move it all the way over to the other side of my body now. And then I'm gonna keep doing this, but I'm gonna make it slowly revert back to the original image where my body essentially lines up with itself again. But I'm gonna do that over the duration of about the entire clip. So I've got plenty of space to go still. Now you can obviously control how big of a shake or how little of a shake that you want. I do think that there is a limit to how big a shake should be, and you'll figure that out just by experimenting here and there. The last position you're going to want your image to end up is at 1920. Boom. So let's see how that turned out. Alright, not too shabby. So that's a bit of a longer shake, and one thing that you can do to bypass having to go through the pain and suffering of changing the shake every single time is for images that are of close to the same length, so this one and this one right here, I'm just going to go ahead and copy the motion tab. You cannot copy individual tabs, but you can copy the entire motion tab. And I am going to come over here and I'm going to paste it to the top layer, video 2 layer. Boom. And the shake shall be applied. Yep, that looks good. All right, so you're going to continue this generic workflow through each image, and my suggestion to you is to utilize that copy and paste trick that I just showed you in order to save time. Couple things to remember. 1, make sure you press that toggle animation button if you are not using the copy and paste trick. 2, make sure that your shakes aren't too big. Sometimes you can make the shake too big and it doesn't turn out as well as it could. I might have done that for one of my examples, the really long duration image. I think my shake was just a little bit too big, but nevertheless, this is just an example for you guys to learn. In the end, I hope that your video turns out the way you hoped it would, and I hope that you learned something. Now, if you liked this video, please consider dropping a like, even subscribing to the page. And if you have anything else you'd like to learn, leave a comment down below and I'll try and answer those questions. Until then, we'll see you in the next video.